All right. The tube of you says that we are live, so I guess we are live. We were just talking about technology and how cool it is. I'm Kyle, AA0Z, and I've got over there, Christian, N1CLC. Yeah, one of those. Um, so this is just going to be like an interview format. I told Christian, I gave him a little rundown, but I'm just going to fire a bunch of questions. And because I think Christian has got a very interesting channel, you want to first go and open another tab in your window and go down to the description, click on Christian's channel and subscribe to his channel because he does a bunch of great videos. He is one of my favorite YouTubers with all of his videos. Every time that I see that he has released a video, I'm just like, oh, yes, he released a video. So I go and watch it. So I find
Starting to blush a little bit.
I love his videos. I wish that more people is finding his videos. But also, I think that just from the things that he has talked about on his videos, that he's an interesting person. So I want to get to know him a little bit better, but I want to share it with all of YouTube. So thanks, Christian, for being on here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure.
So the first question that I want to ask you is, how long have you been a ham radio operator, and how did you get into the hobby?
Good question. So, how long have I been? Since September of 2017, I got my tech, and then a month later, I got my general. What got me into it was, if you go to turn the Wayback Machine on. Back when I was a kid, I played with CB radios with the kid across the street, and I've always been interested in radios and stuff. And just kind of grew from there. When I was in high school, of course, I played with CBs back in the early 80s, was really big, and
Yep.
I goofed around with that in a home station. And I still can't believe my mom let me put this huge antenna on the house. But
For the
uh,
CB?
yeah, it was one of those big giant ground plane antennas from Radio Shack.
That's great.
Yeah, and I can't believe I didn't blow anything up either. So, but
Wow.
yeah.
So, so that progressed, but I mean, was there a point in time, like, I, I hate to say it, but you're no young spring chicken, right? You're not a 16-year-old kid who has, took the CB hobby and progressed into ham radio. Was there like a moment in time? I know that you're a pilot, and that probably triggered some of it, but was there a moment of time where you were like, you know what, I'm going to get my ham radio license now, or was it
Yeah,
I've been
there
doing.
really was a trigger. A guy that I was working with, his name is Marv. He had a ham radio, and he started talking about it. Brought his HTN, and it's like, hey, that's really cool. And Marv was mainly using it for doing prepping and stuff. But it's like, I really ought to get into this because I haven't done anything in radio for since I was in high school, and
Right.
we're not going to talk about how long ago that was.
Right. So, okay, gotcha. Well, that's cool. So then after you became a tech, obviously the next progression is general. Did you just find that you needed to go to the next level, or did you find that because a lot of people, they get their tech license and they just stick there, right?
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's find what you love about the hobby and do that. I mean, there's no right way to do ham radio, and I've always kind of thought it was weird that you have a tech license and an amateur, general license and extra, because it's really just I don't know, it's barriers to entry. It does force you to learn a bit more, and I wanted to do it because I wanted to learn more about ham radio and how things work, and I think extremely curious. The radio part is still magic to me, and
Yeah.
I get everything digital, but when it comes to radio, and there wasn't really, I wouldn't say any trigger that said, hey, let's do a general. I would say that I there was a ham fest coming up locally here in the San Diego area. They were offering a testing session. It's like, hey, if I bear down, I can get the general license. And so I grabbed a book and then took the test a bunch of times, and I went in and took the test, and I was like, if I fail, who cares,
Right.
And
Right.
I turned it in and the guy could tell on my face I was kind of like, I wonder if I passed or not. And he looked at it and he gave me this huge smile, and he goes, dude, don't worry about it. I had actually gotten 100%, thinking that, hey, I may or may not pass this thing. It was pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many hours did you put into it? Do you remember?
Studying, I don't remember. It was just kind of between meetings, and I'd be sitting somewhere waiting for somebody
Right.
in the car, and I'd take the tests on my phone. This is after I'd gone through the book, and there are some questions that the author said, look, just memorize the answer to these because the answer doesn't make sense to me. And there were a couple of ones that is like, okay, if I get this wrong, who cares?
Right.
It's just pass fail. And it turns out I didn't get any of those questions. So I think I got the easy test.
Wow. I think that was your story mimics mine with my extra. I put in so many hours, and then I went to take the test, and I'm like, I didn't get any of the hard questions. I was pissed. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, very good. So relatively new ham. I mean, 2017. That was what?
Yeah.
5 years ago? 6 years ago?
Yeah,
Maybe?
and that was in October. So
18,
yeah,
19,
pretty
20,
yeah.
21, 4. Wow.
There you go.
Don't do math on camera, right? So then, well, first, congratulations on SOTA Goat. That is awesome.
Thanks.
How did you progress into, all right, I got my general, or maybe you were doing SOTA as a technician, I don't know, but how did you progress into SOTA? And, have you always hiked and you just integrated ham radio into it, or did you ham radio come first and then you integrated hiking and backpacking into it? Like, tell me that story.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed doing hiking, but I hadn't done any in quite some time because I had back issues in the past, and I didn't want to go out with the Boy Scouts and then get all messed up and have them carry me back. But so I got my ham radio license, got the general. I set up a station here at home, and it was literally my first implementation. I literally started laughing out loud because I had so much RF noise. I said to myself, I put together the most sensitive, RFI sensor known to man because I was getting everything. And I thought I'd start out with just an antenna in the attic, which was absolutely insane because it was right underneath 22 inverters hooked to my solar panels.
Oh, wow. Oh,
So
yeah. Jeez.
that was worthless. So I took it outside, set it up, and set up a temporary dipole outside, and it worked. I got my first contact, a guy in New Mexico. But it's like, okay, I run across a video, Steve.
Yeah.
WGoat.
Goat.
G0AT.
With Rooster and Peanut and
yeah,
all. Yeah. Right.
Those were hilarious, but it was really inspirational. It's like, geez, I could do this.
Right.
And Steve was, I think, a little bit older than I am, and it's like, well, geez, if Steve can do this, I could do it, and it looks like a lot of fun. So I bought an 817, and I had no idea what I was doing. Radios, nothing, and really SOTA, I didn't know anything about what I was doing. But I bought a MFJ dipole because I didn't even know about making antennas at the time. The whole thing was kind of like magic to me. And I took it up to this little mountain next to me by my house. It's really easy walk, and started setting this thing up, and I broke the pole. And actually, it was
for your dipole.
Well, actually, it was a different antenna. It was just, I don't even want to go into that, but that was a disaster. It was sitting on the ground. I really wanted to get HF contacts. I could have gotten activated with technician, but it was really kind of making this HF thing work. So
right.
Went out, got a replacement pole because I broke it at the worst possible spot. Set this thing up. Well, second trip, I forgot the pole, and I had to be somewhere. So I kind of scrapped it, and then I got back with my wife from this event she wanted to go to. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to get this thing done. I really need to get this done. So I headed up there in the afternoon, set it up, and got it working. I had a Yaesu FT17, 817, a little 5-watt sideband radio. It's really the workhorse at the time for SOTA. It's fantastic radio. So I'm working. I had no idea what spotting was or anything. And I talked to a couple of guys in Texas, and I heard this guy calling with a JA call sign on sideband. I thought, well, geez, I wonder if he could hear me. Might as well just see if I can answer him. And I answered him, and he came right back to me. I'm like, holy crap. You know, I'm working this guy in Japan, and about 5 minutes earlier, these guys walk by and say, "What are you trying to do? Talk to people in Japan?" And I go, and of course they were gone, but I turned around. It's like, yeah, I am.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I was totally hooked. Being able to work a person in Japan on 5 watts, and the rest is, well, not history, but it's history.
Right.
That really kind of just like, hey, this is really, really cool. Of course, the noise level on mountaintops is 0. It's not like 22 inverters around you. So
Right.
that's
D-
what
At,
got me going.
at that point, did you know anything about SOTA, or was it a? Did you see something on the web and say, "Oh, yeah, you hike up mountains and you activate the mountain, and that's about it," or was it a? Or was it a like a, I'm just going to do this, and then, yeah, SOTA is great, but I'm not really going to put that much effort into it. But then hence you put a ton of effort into it since.
Yeah. So when I watched Steve's videos. It's like, okay, I know what this thing is. I went out to the SOTA website, created an account, the whole shebang, and read through the instructions. But at the time, I didn't even know you needed 4 contacts to actually get activate with points. That was pretty funny. I didn't know anything about spotting,
Right,
which is really important, especially if you're running 5 watt sideband.
right.
And I was just, a big idiot up there. And I actually did a few summits with that dipole, which I absolutely hated because it was it's made out of like copper cladded wire.
Yeah.
So it was a complete disaster on a mountaintop. It really was. Um, and I took it to this bushwhack, a very difficult bushwhack up not too far from my house, about an hour. And I got my 3 contacts. When I started setting it up, the wind was just like started howling, went from 0 to like 60, and stuff was blowing everywhere. The antenna was falling down. I was cussing and screaming, and
Yeah.
I had to get back and pick up my daughter. So I got 3 contacts. The people on the radio could tell I was running 100 watts actually. And they said, yeah, we could hear the wind in the background. Well, I packed up, went down. It was a horrible bushwhack going down because I went the wrong way. Picked up my daughter. I get home. I didn't get the points because I only had 3 contacts.
Oh, that sucks. Oh, wow.
So yeah, I mean, I really didn't know anything, and I started digging more into it. I learned about spotting from Jerry, KG6HQD, who did a bunch of
Yeah.
videos at the time, and he talked about spotting. I'm like, oh, what the heck is that? You can self spot. I was like, oh, okay. So the next time I went out, I self spotted, and I had this huge pile up on sideband. I'm like, well, geez, this is a lot more fun,
Yeah. The light bulb went
So,
off.
yeah. So since then, I've done over 305 summits.
How many?
305, over 305 summits.
305. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I'm counting the ones that if you go into the SOTA data, it'll actually like 302 or something, or less. I failed on a few of them, so I didn't get any points or any activation. You only
Right.
need 1 contact to activate, and you can activate as many times during the year, but you only get points once.
Right.
But there were a few mountaintops that I got up there, and I went to another summit, I don't know, a few years ago, and I forgot my power cable. I'd switched backpacks, and I set up my 100-watt sideband unit, and no power.
Yeah.
And there was no HT wasn't working either. So
Wow.
yeah. So
So tell us, so we're going to get into the SOTA 360 series that you made. I think it's 4 videos now.
yeah, there's 4 videos out there on activating, and then I did some other ones. If you go
You've
to
got a whole gamut. Yeah, there is. So the great thing about Christian's videos, if I can gush a little bit more, is not only does he have the SOTA 360, which shows you everything from planning your activity, mapping out, using, I think you use Gaia, or maybe what's the other one that you?
I started out using All Trails as a
All
charting
Trails, that's what it was.
application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everything to submitting your log and getting all of that stuff coordinated. And I kind of want to go through the whole process that you go through. And all of that stuff is in your 360 series, correct?
Yeah, if you go to hamninja.com
Okay.
/SOTA 360, that'll put you right onto the playlist, and you won't end up in my giant list of videos. But there was a 4-part series on activating that I really focused on activating. And I did one specifically on chasing. Um, I talked about charting on another one, and then did a couple others, just little ones, modifying your SOTA logs because it's a common issue at the time. It's actually easier nowadays. And improving your copy speed, CW copy speed. I wrote a blog specifically. I'm more of a writer than I was a vlogger at the time.
Yeah.
But I thought, while I'm in the middle of learning CW, I'm gonna kind of just, capture some thoughts about that and share those. And maybe I'll have some tips for someone else that's, like me, that's, it was a very frustrating process. I think it's much easier when you're like, a 10-year-old kid. I hear kids 10 years
Yeah.
old, they're done in like, a couple days.
Right. Right. There is a kid. His name is now I forgot his name. It's like KJ5HVO, and he was like, ham of the year a couple years ago, and he learned CW, and I saw him at one of the ham fests at Dayton. Oh, I know what the story is. Have you ever been to Dayton?
No, I haven't done that one yet. I'd like to someday.
So at Dayton, up in the contest super suite, they've got a program. They rent out a suite, and in the other room, they have basically a lockdown room where they've got computers and a bunch of headphones. And you go in, and it's a CW copy contest. So they fire call signs at you at different levels, at different noise. It's a whole competition, right? So then on the outside, they show what your speed is. And this kid, I forgot what his someone in the chat probably knows it. His last call sign, or the last suffix, is HVO. Anyway, he's like 17, 18 years old, and he's copying like at 60 words a minute, right? And he's just blowing the competition away. But the nice thing I like about getting tips on CW, because I'm learning CW too, and I'm probably about the same level as you right now. Mm-hmm. I like learning and getting tips from people who are learning CW, because all of these old farts that are running at 40 words a minute and they learned CW whenever they were 4, they have forgotten how it is to learn,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, of course, everybody learns differently. That if you want to read my blog post on that, it's hamninja.com/CW. Okay. That I did a blog post on just kind of my observations. I think a lot of it is kind of everyone learns differently. So it's looking at yourself and understanding how you learn, what causes you to get frustrated and want to quit, and what doesn't, what keeps you going, what makes you want to quit. And just kind of watching yourself and how you learn and what works for you. My tips may not work for other folks out there. I think a few folks, it will. We're all kind of pretty much the same. But
right.
One of them is, a big tip is, don't push yourself too hard. Increase the speed just a little bit to where you don't get frustrated, to where maybe you'll miss a few, but it challenges you, but it doesn't completely frustrate you. The other thing that I did, and for someone's on the air, being able to copy call signs is super important, because the rest of it's formulaic.
Right.
I came up with a way of improving my copy speed, and there's a video, and there's also a link to it from that particular URL if you want to look at, if you're more of a reader than a blogger, YouTube.
Yeah.
And
hamninja.com/CW, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that should put you right onto the page.
What was? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Kyle.
What was like? Was there a time that you? I'll tell you a quick 15-second story about my CW. I got to a point where I hit a brick wall and I wanted to quit. Right, and I didn't copy any code for probably a week and a half, and then I came back to it. And like you said, I started slow and built that back up, and then before you knew it, I was copying 4, 5, 6 characters more a minute than I was a week and a half ago, right? And I think that everyone has kind of a love-hate relationship while they're learning CW. What got you over some of those humps, if you can remember? Like, I wanted to quit, and then you came back to it. Was it the drive to learn CW for SOTA because it's so important to, whenever you're learning running 5 watts and you got to pull those contacts out of the air? Or what was it that got you over that hump?
Well, so the wanting to quit pretty much was every night.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
You throw
right.
your headset down. It's like, all right, I've had it with this. And so a lot of it for me was there wasn't any kind of brick wall that I hit.
Okay.
It was a continual pull of me having I'm very goal oriented, so I'm going to get to the top of that mountain. Hopefully it won't kill me someday, but I wanted to get there. And um, it, the big pull for me was, when I first got into the hobby. I'll back up just a second. I was
Yeah.
like, CW, I'm never going to learn that. Nope, nobody does that, and that's going to be a huge pain in the tail. But when I started doing summits on the air, I really enjoyed chasing other operators from my summit, so getting a summit to summit. And so I was doing some chasing. I was like, well, geez, more than half these guys I can't chase because they're all running CW.
Right.
And the more I looked into it, they run CW because they can get so much farther with 5 watts. So the signal to noise ratio, running CW at 5 watts is like running 80 watts on a sideband.
Yeah.
Secondly, these guys, and you'll see pretty much all the bloggers, they carry these tiny little radios. And instead of, I was carrying 100 watts at the time because I didn't know about spotting, so I got frustrated with not being able to get contacts. But that's heavy. And I was carrying a heavy antenna, a bigger antenna. I was carrying a bigger battery, a heavier radio. And it's like, well, these CW guys, it's like, criminy, you look at the stuff that Adam carries, and that's less than a pound, for crying out loud. Yeah, he puts stuff into
That's crazy talk. I mean, the stuff that Adam does, you're just like, what? Okay.
Yeah,
You can
it's
have your
over the
little
top.
pixie transmit. I will carry my KX2 to the top and be satisfied.
Yeah, and so if you get a KX2, and there's mountain toppers, there's several radios you can buy over the counter that you don't have to make them. I just recently built one of those little QCX minis. Those are really, really cool.
Yeah.
So you can go with ultralight. If you go with a 5 watt station, you can run practically with a 9-volt battery and a up converter, or just like a little 6 amp hour or less battery. All you need is 12 volts into your radio. And because of that, you can also drop weight on antennas. You don't need antennas, especially if you're doing stuff that has matching units and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot lighter. I actually carry one of Adam's antennas. It's an NFED random wire. Maybe it's not NFED, but it's got a counterpoise on it. But it plugs right into the radio. And it's awesome for chasing because you just switch bands, hit the auto tuner on the KX2, which is what I mainly run. And, you're up and running on that band in just, seconds. So.
Right. So the CW, you mostly, hang on. You mostly did it because you wanted to get more contacts and to lower your weight and I mean, I think if you are running SOTA or you're a big POTA person and a contester, I think you do see a lot of benefit in CW to become more rounded and to have more options to contact people, right?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly opens the doors. Now you can run multiple modes, including the digital modes. But yeah, the big thing is the closer I got to getting to a point where I could actually get my nerve up to do that. It's like, wow, it's going to be great to carry. Like when I did switch over to different antennas and stuff, I dropped 9 pounds out of my pack.
Yeah.
I dropped 1 or 2 more by switching poles because, super tiny wire, you don't need a giant push-up pole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Dan,
it's a lot of fun. I mean, once you get going, and certainly it's hard, it's great. CW operators are really awesome because if you're totally goofing it up and you ask for their call sign like 10 times, they stick with you. They don't give up. They really kind of help you along. and they slow down for you. 99% of the time, they're going to slow down, put big spacing in, which is awesome to kind of get you over that hump. And then once you get going, you get that call sign for the first time. You get it the first time, he sends it. You don't have to send a question mark back, right?
Yeah.
And hey, that feels really good.
It does. It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the time when I was big into getting the first prefix. All right, KC7, and then I'd have them send it again, and then I'd listen for the suffix. And I remember the first couple of times that I copied the whole call sign without them sending it twice. I'm just like, oh, finally.
Yeah.
But I still get like sixes and B's and S's and H's together. Like they should just ban those call signs from the FCC database, because if you got WH6 ISH, you might as well forget it. I'm not copying that that call sign.
Yeah. Yeah, or you get the opposite. You get like a JH6B, SI or something crazy.
Yeah, you're just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But you are totally correct. Like CW guys and gals, they will send that call sign 10, 15, 20 times if they have to. And SOTA operators are some of the best operators to stick with you and be patient, especially the chasers. POTA, on the other hand, some of those people don't give two flying Fs, but I mean, they just want but I think there's a different type of operator for the SOTA chasers that they will stick with you, especially the CW operators. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes they just know that you're up there freezing your tail off, and you're dropping your key in the dirt, and then you drop your phone, and you're just trying to hold it together under high winds and everything else. So they get that you have kind of less than ideal conditions. They want the points too, but they just seem really awesome. And my first couple of calls, of course, if you had 6 letters, I had to send you probably 6 question marks.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you started CW, because what I do is your videos, Adams, Reds, who else does CW on the mountaintop? Can't remember. There's a bunch of POTA CW operators too, but what I do is I'll put the YouTube video on, and then I'll see you sit down in your chair, and I kind of know your video, like what's coming to me. So I will literally not, I'll fire up the laptop and I'll bring up Notepad, and instead of watching the video, I'll listen for the CW and I'll copy down what you're hearing, and then I'll look up real quick to see if I copied the same thing that you put on the screen.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
I do that actually with other guys as well. I do the same thing as you do on Charlie and Adams and some of the other guys. I'd say the one thing, of course, I think we were talking about, copying call signs is so important, because the rest of it is you send me your call sign, I send it back to you with UR5NN, for example. We'll just make it super easy, 599. And then you come back with TU, thank you, maybe my name. Of course, at first when people sent that, I had no idea what was going on. That was hilarious. My call sign, and then a break, and that's it. So really, it's so for me, you get those pretty easy. So what I did is I used the call sign practice in LCWO, and that was really cool, except it was very frustrating because you get all call signs worldwide, which is great if you're a contester. But I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get frustrated. How can I make this a little bit easier for me? So what I did is, at the very beginning, I took all of Adam's call signs that he was getting via CW, and it's like, okay, these are probably the people I'm going to hear, especially being the solar conditions the way they are. And so I made a spreadsheet. I do it a certain way, paste it into their text to CW, and then I was just practicing those. And of course, 99% of them were US based. Because it's like, well, why not practice the ones I'm going to hear tomorrow on the mountain? And that really, really helped me, because I could focus in on being successful. If, success keeps me in the game. If I was getting frustrated, I'll just stop.
Yeah.
So what could I do to get a little bit of success with a little bit of challenge? And that was super helpful. And I was able to push it up to 25 words a minute plus copy speed for those ones. Now, when I get, a Japan or New Zealand I've never heard before, if it's not John in New Zealand, if it's somebody new, then I'm like, I got to kind of like reset the brain and send a
Right.
question mark and really listen.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Have you seen the CW? I think it's CW Ninja on YouTube. His name is like Kurt something, starts with a K, or maybe it's a Z. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah.
So if all you out there, there's some questions in the chat about CW and getting Dan KC7MSU, who is on Red's portable Sunday video that I always enjoy. He's talking about copy and call signs and any words of advice. The thing that I would say that got me over a bunch of humps were if you go and take a look at those CW Ninja videos, and they're on YouTube, go and click on the speed. There's playlists. And I have the 22 and the 25 word playlist on my phone. I liked it, or I subscribed to it, or I forgot the terminology. But then what I'll do is whenever I'm walking the dog, I'll put the 22 or the 25 in, and then I'll scroll down, and it's just like, top 2,500 SOTA activators, top 2,500 words, USA call signs. I mean, it's just like a ton of different videos, and I'll just play that while I'm walking the dog, and in the headphones on the phone, and that's how I kind of practice my 25 or 30 minutes a day. Is when I'm walking the dog, I listen to CW.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Especially Adam did something like that. He did it while driving to work. I'd probably be in an accident trying to do that for sure. But I'm not really. That really helps you with the head copy because you're not writing anything down.
Right.
And I really need to do that. I do more of a pad and pencil when I'm at my desk after work. And of course, when I'm on the mountain, I just I'm on my phone, just plugging it in.
Did that take you some time to get used to?
No, I started out doing that. Just because I'm lazy, I hate recopying stuff. So, and I can't read my own writing as well.
Yeah. I get
so
that problem too.
Yeah. I get home, I push a button and it goes right up. But the other recommendation I'd have is do some chasing. So my SOTA sensei, Adam, said, look, once you get to your letters in, go out and chase. And he said, look, all you need to do is send your call sign, and you'll get pretty good at that.
Yeah. Right.
And then if you hear it come back, and who doesn't know their own call sign? You wait and listen. If it comes back, it's like, oh, I got the guy. And you'll hear it come back. They generally will say, N1CLC, TU, UR, 559, 5NN, N stands for 9. And give you a break, dash, dash. So you'll get that. They're turning it over to you, and all you need to do is send maybe a TU for thank you. UR, 5NN.
And that's it.
Look, if you don't know your numbers, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
There are no SOTA police out there, thankfully. So just send 5NN, and if you don't know how to send break, that's fine. Just wait. And then the operator will come back and say, great, thanks. 73 EE, you're done.
Yep.
So do some chasing. That'll help you get more confidence, and you'll hear other operators, and you'll get a sense for what's going on. You'll get a sense for the pace. You'll start to tease apart being able to hear who is the activator and who is the chaser, because sometimes that can get confusing.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
And the person that generally ends it with a 73 EE, that's your activator. And there'll be maybe a tone difference. So you can kind of just tune in and listen to some of the other folks that come in. It's like, okay, I got this. And just jump in with your call sign.
Yep. Another thing that I got accustomed to was I would wait until the activator, either POTA or SOTA or somebody that I was trying to contact, I waited for them to call CQ. Then I knew that was the person that I wanted to contact, right? But you get some of these very experienced activators, and they don't call CQ, right? They might get a pileup, and as soon as they hit the dit, someone else is calling. So you have to keep that in mind too, right?
Yeah, you'll get some huge pileups, and sometimes you can get confused and think you're working a guy when you're not really. You're working a POTA, for example.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's like it's not the end. It is a hobby after all.
Yeah.
You can also, what George does over in Colorado, he's a prolific activator and summit to summit chaser. Is he actually won't have cell service on a lot of summits, and what he does is he listens around 14.060, 61, 62. He'll jump on 20 meters, kind of do the same thing. There's another watering hole down to about 035, and he'll just hunt around for other operators. And the first thing he does is, I know it's George because, I'm working a pileup and then I'll hear a question mark. That's George. He's like, "Who are you?" And so
he wants to know who you are.
Yeah, because he doesn't know. He doesn't know because he hasn't heard me call CQ in a while.
Right.
And you are supposed to identify, right? Every 10 minutes or so. So
that's great.
It's like, oh, there's George. I send, N1CLC SOTA. Or I'll send CQ SOTA N1CLC, and then it's like, boom, KX0R, and it's like, we're in. And I'll say summit to summit is a little bit more confusing because I'll send KXOR, UR559, for example, ON on, and then the summit reference, W6, SC338 or whatever it is. And it's not too hard. I mean, do a couple activations and you'll be up and running, and you don't need to send the dash. You do need to send the slash, is very helpful because some prefixes are just like 2 letters, like W6.
Yeah.
But in Arizona, it's W7A. I think New Mexico's W5N is in November. So a lot of times when people, and even for me, when I hear that slash, it's like, oh, I know there's 2 letters and 3 numbers coming, and people don't typically send the dash. So,
and the slash is da did it, right? Da did it,
da did it, da did. Yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of a neat little. I like it.
It's an X with an extra dit.
Don't mess with me, man. I'm not gonna be able to send it now.
You're gonna be up on the next mountaintop. You're gonna be sending it, and you're gonna look straight in the camera and go, "Kyle."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I run into trouble, I literally have to run the air key to remember, like, what the hell is that? When I was learning, I'd hear something and I'd move my fingers. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a whatever.
I still have brain farts on all the things that I have sent. I mean, I will go through a farting phase where I'm just like, what is a P? How do I send a P?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I'm glad that you are putting your CW videos up on the web. That's or on YouTube. One thing that I wanted to get into is, I think we touched a little bit into it, is how did you start blogging first and then you did videos, and then what got you into the video making? I'm assuming the goat had something to do with it, but show us or tell us the story along those transitions there.
Yeah, I started out as a writer, as a blogger. I have several other blogs, like, cloudrant.com, throboflife.com, which is yeah. Who doesn't want to hear my philosophy, right? Mixed in with a little bit of wine, of course. Those are when those are written.
Those are the late night blogs, right?
Yeah, those are late night, a little bit of Zen philosophy in there for you. But yeah, all the cool kids were doing video, and I was watching Adams. It's like, okay, I ought to try that. So I got a GoPro and just went for it, and learned an editing software. I had Adobe Premiere from work for free, and it's like, that was just so overkill. So
yeah,
I'm using Filmora, which is it's like kindergarten, but it works. I mean, it does pretty much everything you need to cut things up and get it going
It's
for
called
post.
what?
Filmora Wondershare.
Filmora Wondershare. Okay, is that for
Yeah,
a PC?
yeah, it's a PC software.
I have never heard
Um,
of that.
yeah, their market that they got into was like the total beginner vlogger, um, to help you just get in, quickly cut stuff together and publish, right? You can throw, and they have a lot of like pre-made stuff for you, so you can throw a title in and music and all that stuff. So they make it super easy.
Hey,
There are also a lot of music, sound effects, and stuff that are all royalty free that come with it, and you can,
wow.
of course, they have a add-on that you can buy additional effects,
Right.
etc.
Gotcha.
So
Very cool. I'm assuming that um, once you started doing the videos, you got into a groove, and you're like, okay, this has got a beginning. It's got an because your videos are very. You're in the car. You're setting up the SOTA. You're hiking. You're talking about the trail. You're talking about what's going on. You know, you do some pan shots. Then you on the summit, and then you operating, and then sometimes you do as you're walking down. And then sometimes, not all often, you do like a recap on what's going on. Um, was that just evolved through making videos and putting them out there?
yeah, I think it's storytelling. There's a
Yeah.
beginning, a middle, and an end, and that's really what it came from. And I don't do a whole lot of planning up front, like because I've done a lot of still photography for 50 years. I've been doing still photography, and sometimes I did a little bit of side stuff, cameraninja.com. And there's a
Another
blog that
one.
goes with that.
Another one. Like
um,
the list is just filling up here, Christian.
yeah, yeah, I don't know how many I kind of pay all of them ahead of time, but on my domains. But that I did a lot of planning when I'm working with customers and stuff when I was doing some stuff on the side. But this, it's more just kind of, I had to remind myself to make sure I capture enough B-roll and some other things that might be interesting. To me, the most interesting part sometimes is just the adventure of getting there.
Yeah.
Um, it's, the radio can probably get old after a while for some folks, especially if you don't do SOTA. So I was doing that. I think the fun thing that I did do for the SOTA 360 blog is I did sketch it all out ahead of time. And that was fun to kind of really do some planning around my video. What were my shots that I wanted to make sure I got? I kind of brought a shot card with me to make sure I could check everything off.
Ah, yeah.
Um, I also did not shoot it in order. Like I shot stuff out of order, knowing because I knew how the story was going to go together.
Yeah.
Once you know that, you could shoot the middle and then shoot the trailhead. When you're starting out on the trailhead, you can do that.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun doing that little series.
Yeah. No one realizes that a lot of us shoot out of order, and you might introduce the trail back at your car, and you've already done the hike. You know.
Yeah, I typically don't do that just because it's flow for me. It's easy to
Right.
do it, but you could do it that way.
Right.
I'm envious of the people that do live streaming because there's very little post production there.
Streaming like this right here, there is. I hear you. The live streaming is a lot easier. Man, does it take a lot of time to produce a video? So I mean, you're doing it weekly, which that's a lot of time.
Yeah, I've cut back. I don't have as many adventures right now because the summer's wrapping up, but I have cut back. I'm gonna maybe do one or two a month. Sometimes it takes 4 hours, especially if I'm
Yeah.
cutting in drone shots and stuff. So that's just one more camera and shots I need to get. And sometimes I've done some adventures. It's like, there's no real story here. I've missed a few shots, or my GoPro Series 9, which I'm gonna tell you right now, don't get one of those. The Series
Oh, I
9,
have one. I
dude,
have one.
I hate that thing.
I
I've lost so much video with that thing.
and you're using a good SD card, right?
Yeah, I switched cards even. I went to support. They said, we'll do an update. And I said, I've already done that. And they made me do it via a different way. It's like, okay, fine. It seemed to improve a little bit, but I still get lockups. And I've lost I lost the entire card one time. So that was
Jeez.
extremely frustrating. So that adventure was canceled out. That was a really good adventure too. It was up up a pretty good peak. It was ice and snow, and yeah, it
Wow.
was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Gotcha. Um, on that good news, actually, I've had decent. I mean, I have not put as much video through my GoPro 9 than you have, but I have not had any problems. You know, maybe I got a who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, maybe there's
Next,
something wrong with mine.
next topic here. So you're a pilot. How long have you been a pilot for?
Okay, this is where you don't want to do math on air. I got my
Yeah.
license when I was 17, which is the earliest you can get it. So
Oh wow.
I was learning at 16. My dad gave me flying lessons for my birthday, and of course I was just totally hooked.
Yeah.
And so let's see, that's
Long time.
43 years ago, something like that.
Wow.
I'm 60, so um,
So
and
yeah, go
I
ahead. Sorry.
haven't flown in a while though. It got expensive. My wife isn't working. She quit her job, and it's like, okay, I really can't afford to do this right now.
Yeah.
So, but man, that was this huge passion of mine, flying.
That is awesome. But then you rolled into and you got a drone, and because you have your pilot's license, you automatically have your Part 107. So therefore, or 110 or whatever it is, so you can put the videos on the internet, right?
Yeah, somebody was asking me about that, and I need to go look that up. Have you read that anywhere, Kyle?
I don't quote me, internet,
Okay.
but I was told that if you have your pilot's license, you don't need your Part 107. You can put as many drone videos on the internet, and the drone police will not come and get you as long as you can prove you got a pilot's license.
Okay. Yeah, that's great news. I'm gonna look into that because there've been some places where like national parks, they don't want you to fly in. There's some places where it's like, okay, no flying them, and you could get hassled by someone. But yeah, I need to look into that.
So
It's
Ria
200.
says, yes, Ria says you don't automatically get your 107 when you have a private pilot's certificate. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
Ria can school us on what's going on there. But yeah. But I'm glad that you got a drone. Some of your drone shots are epic. I mean, the one panning around. There was a fire lookout, and you were panning around the top of it. I mean, it was just like, holy crap, this is awesome.
Yeah, those are so neat. I wanted to do something. I'd seen somebody else use one just a couple of times. It's like, oh man, I would love to get some of those shots. And you get such a great, I mean, the perspective is so much different, especially coming off like Takit's, if that's the one you're thinking of. That was a really cool perspective to really get a sense for how small that little peak was up there.
Yeah.
But the dolly shots, when I went with a friend of mine, the first dolly shot I did with it, and it's 249 grams, so it falls under the weight category that you have to have a license to fly
Right.
it all. So that made it easy.
Right.
It's also small and light, so it fits right in my backpack.
Well, and I
pouch.
saw that pouch that you had, and I went so I've got a mini also, and I went and grabbed one of those pouches. I think I IM'd you or something and said, "What is that pouch?" So I went and grabbed it, and it's great. It just hangs on your pack there, and you can bring your drone up there and not yeah.
Yeah, it's I know I looked all over the place and I tried a couple of different pouches as well to try to find something that would work. So that was kind of an effort to find. I'll put that in there's a link on my website, hamninja.com, at the top that says Loadout. And I'll put it on there after this call. I'll try to
Very good.
Try to do that.
Talking about Loadout, tell me your favorite stuff to take up to a summit. Do you have?
So it's a KX2 is my absolute. It's a magic radio. It really, really is cool, because it does so many different bands. Sideband, CW, has some really cool filtering in it. I've used the filters to pull out other SOTA operators, and so that's number one. It has a built-in battery, but I generally take an extra one with me.
Yep.
And I can do 3, 4, I don't know how many summits I can do with both those batteries in the pack. My second number one antenna. So the second piece is really the antenna, which is a K6 ARK special. It's the random wire antenna that allows me to switch bands and everything else. And because it's so incredibly light, I can bring it. I mean, it's like 2 ounces or something crazy. I have a PAR end fed that I used to bring as a backup antenna because I did break an antenna once. I mean, the K6 ARK just quit working, and I went and talked to Adam. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with it here. Just take another one. Since then, Adam has a kit that he's selling that allows anybody, even me, someone idiot like me, can make either an end-fed half wave, whatever you want. You can combine that with links. You can combine it with some traps, which I just recently picked up some traps here to maybe play around with that. So it makes it
nice.
super easy to build one of those antennas. You don't have to be able to tie flies like Adam does in order to make one.
I think he's going to put them on Amazon.
He is. He's going to put it out on Amazon store. I don't know if he's done that yet, but
yeah,
those are super cool.
They are. They're very cool.
Yeah. All you need to do is just get a kit, and if you have some wire, then you're good to go.
If you're eyesight challenged, to the extreme, right? Adam's stuff is small. Obviously, I think most people on the channel have seen Adam's antennas. If not, go check out K6 ARK and go take a look at his antennas. But I've noticed, or I've seen that the QRP guys, they've got a QRP end fed that you can build as a 49-to-1 or a 9-to-1. And I've had really good success with those. Granted, they're not the lightest, but you pair some SOTA beams wire, and it's got a winder on it, so you can wind the antenna wire on.
Yeah, it's all
the actual,
built in one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've had good success with those. QRP guys make some pretty good stuff. If you're into kits, they're really cool.
Yeah, the QRP guys and QCX Labs, those guys have some really, the QCX Lab stuff, the instructions are just off the charts awesome.
They are.
Their QCX Mini that I built it's only the second major kit I've ever built. And, I had that thing running, in a few days. I just do it after work until I got tired, and took my time this last summer, and just, I plugged it in, it came up, and I'm like, holy mackerel, this thing works.
Back on your loadout, what is your CW key of choice or paddle of choice? Do you have? I know that you have gotten that American Morse paddle, and I don't
have the American Morse paddle. There's an N0 NOSA.
N0SA. Larry's.
N0SA. Yeah, and I'm thinking about switching over to that because.
Well,
I don't know what it is about dirt getting in, dirt and dust, and I don't know what else into the other one, but it can be frustrating on a mountaintop when that thing quits working.
Yeah. Have you seen my video? I reviewed both of Larry's N0SA's mountaintop keyers.
Yep, I saw that he has 2 different ones, right?
He has 2 different ones. He's only making the SOTA one, but you will have to... PSA announcement, he sold out of the first batch, so you might want to email him and see if you can put a deposit or something on the second batch that he is potentially making, because I think that he, QRPer, Thomas Witherspoon, QRPer.com, or I forgot his website. Anyway, he put it on his website, which I think has got quite a following, and they sold out within a day. And I think that Larry only makes like 20 or 30 at a time.
Okay.
He's here in St. Louis. Like, he lives like 10 minutes away from me. I don't know him. I've never met him. I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. I know that other people know him because he's part of the Boeing and Monsanto, or the Boeing airplanes. They have got a big plant up here and a amateur radio group, and he's part of that group. And I tried to pick mine up, and he's like, nope, I'm going to send it to you. So But anyway, yeah, those keys are stellar. I mean, it's just, I think that he's an old machinist. Maybe I'm not really sure what he did.
Yeah, they're neat keys. We were actually passing one around at this kind of SOTA love-in that we had up in Big Bear, not too far from here. A bunch of the guys were looking at different keys, and we had all of our ham porn out there and radios, etc. And that one got very high marks from everyone.
Yeah.
I know NJ7B Charlie also did a review on that. I think he has some pretty positive things about it. It's now become my backup key because my cork key or paddles that Adam made for me, which is on hamninja.com/loadout. That'll put you
Okay.
right onto it. But if you scroll down, you'll see that it's a wine cork paddles,
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
which is I love that thing. It was super light, and it was just so me. I mean, that was my first CW contact from Mountaintop. I used that thing because that's all I had,
Yeah.
and we're great. I broke it. I pulled on the wire and it pulled out some inside, so I need to do some surgery on it. But I'm using the N0SA was my backup paddles. But I'm going to make it my primary and just see how it works. I like
Oh,
working
so
at.
I got confused. You have an N0SA paddle.
I do. I have one.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Christian. I thought that you didn't have one.
Yeah, I have one. It's in my pack as a backup.
Ah.
And I've used it a couple times, but I'm going to mount it. I like having a keyer or the paddles. I keep saying keyer, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Mounted on my leg. You've seen my videos.
I have. Yeah.
That way I'm not dropping anything. You know that I use my phone to log my contacts. So it's great just having kind of everything attached to my legs. Adam came up with a great idea to hold your phone onto your leg using a magnet. So I do that. So there's less stuff ending up in the dirt now because of Adam.
It's like a fighter pilot or maybe a regular pilot where they've got the
Yeah.
little clipboards on their legs, right?
I have one of those. I decided not to use it, but I got it for doing SOTA because I had one all my entire flying life. I always had a knee board where you take your clearance down on them, especially if you're flying IFR. You got to have that thing there all the
Gotcha.
time. Maybe Rhea can tell us if you have an instrument rating, if you get the 107.
Well, she said, this is what Rhea said, and I believe everything Rhea says because she's a very, very smart individual. Being under 250 grams only exempts you from registration for recreational. For Part 107, you need to register every drone, even the tiny toy Trellos, if you fly under Part 107. But then she also said, if you don't automatically get your Part 107 and you have your you don't automatically get your 107 if you have a private pilot's license, meaning you have to have a check ride within the past 2 years. What is a check ride? Do you know what that is?
Well, it's a biannual flight review. So as a pilot, if you're just a private pilot like me, every 2 years, you need to just ride with an instructor. They call it a biannual flight review. And what they're doing is checking to see if you've picked up any bad habits and just kind of buff you up. Say, oh, I see how you're doing this. Why don't you try this? So it's a really great opportunity for pilots to just kind of check in with a flight instructor every couple of years, make sure you're still good to go.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and you also have to have on medical. I let my medical expire, so I'd have to get another medical as well.
Yeah. That's yeah, very good. Another question that I had, rewinding all the way back to the beginning of and we've got a few more minutes here. One, I want to thank you again, Christian, for taking the time out of your day. I know that it's in the middle of the day for you to do this interview, but how do you pick? I know that you said that you've done 300 SOTAs. You've got well over probably 1,300 points, maybe 1,400 points, 1,500 points.
Let's see. That's I could give you the URL, but I don't know if your readers are already overloaded.
Yeah.
hamninja.com/presentation. But on slide 3, it shows I have over 1716 activator points. So 1,700. I should hit
17.
double goat next year. I got a bunch of chaser points, some to summit points on there. I've hiked. I mean, the other great thing about SOTA is you get out there, you're hiking, you're outside. I love it. I mean, I do it for the hiking now. Really, it's not about the points.
Yeah.
But I have over 1,000 miles hiking and elevation gain of 258,000 feet of
Wow.
climbing while hiking. So it's been fun. From the very beginning, I started keeping track in a spreadsheet of some stats just to do some comparisons year to year and set new goals. Um, I'm not going to beat last year's goals. In fact, my goal is to not do more than I did last year because last year was crazy.
Its
Yeah,
goal is whatever the goal is less than last year.
yeah, dude, that was insane. I was doing 3 summits a day
You
up in
were
Arizona.
you were rolling with the videos too. I mean, there was like every Monday night ham radio. Sometimes you had a Monday and a Thursday. I mean, as a viewer, I loved it.
Oh, cool.
I mean,
Thanks.
I'm sure it probably was killing you, but I loved it.
Yeah, they're taking longer and longer to edit. I don't know why that is, but I'm trying to put a little bit more into it. And it's like, okay, I can't put out that many per,
Yeah.
now. I got to have some time to build radios and antennas.
Yeah, I got other things to do, right? I mean,
Yeah,
if I want to stare at the wall, I want to stare at the wall, right?
yeah. I don't watch TV, but I watch YouTube. That takes up enough time.
Right. My question was going to be around how do you pick the summits or the SOTA summits? Do you have a list and say, all right, I have not gone to this summit this year, and it comes on a list, and then different SOTA summits boil up and priority, or how do you go through that process?
So I mean, around this area, I have a lot that I like to do. So every year I do those. There's some that I'll never do again, right?
Yeah.
But there's I'll do that. Then when I'm run out of summits close by, then I have to reach up into the Los Angeles, area, up the Angels Crest area. Um, and as I bring up SOT lists and just do some research, talk to some other folks. If I'm, around my summer home and just bring up SOT lists and I saw all the summits, and then I'll discover summits I didn't even think about until I'll see one of my friends activating. It's like, geez, I've never done that. It's right over here in El Cajon. So
Ah.
I've done that. In fact, there was another guy, Mike, I can't remember his call sign, but it was Sunday morning. It's like I answered his call. I thought, I'm gonna go try that. I don't have anything to do this afternoon, so I went up there, and it
After
was
you
like 2 in the
activated it,
afternoon.
or after
No,
you
yeah,
chased him?
yeah. After I chased him, I thought, what the heck? I'm gonna go hike that one. I've never done it. So I get up there and I hear this. Hey, Chris, Mike was still up there playing radio.
Oh, well,
So
how weird was that? Where he was just like, "Didn't I just work you?"
yeah, yeah. Here's the craziest story. Last summer, I was on a summit not too far from my summer home in northern Arizona, northeastern Arizona, and I hear this summit to summit, or this guy says me a call sign summit to summit. So I answer him back, and he said, "Where are you?" So I gave him my
Oh, no.
my summit ID, and he came back with, "So am I. Where are you?"
On the other, he's on the other
I
side.
said, "Oh, I'm over on the east side." He goes, "I'm probably 100 yards from me." He came over and we had a great conversation. I did an interview with him. Really nice guy from Colorado.
Wow. What? Were you on the same band? Like, how did you not hear
Yeah, he was.
him?
Well, he was on 20 meter. He just heard me
Oh.
up on 20 meter, and I started making contacts,
I
and
mean,
then he answered. I thought, "Oh, great! I got a summit to summit."
that must. I mean, even running 5 watts, 100 meters away, that must have been like 40 over, right?
Yeah. It was probably hitting the AGC on the radio pretty hard, but
Right.
that
Right.
was really funny.
That is great. That is a great story. You're just like it's almost like Me Can't Manor. You pop your head over. You're just like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, he came over and I go, "Well, where are you sitting?" He's like, "Geez, I wasn't more than 100 yards over there." So pretty
Ha-
funny.
have you had like? Tell me. I'm sure that you probably had a bad experience. I'm trying to wrap this up about 5:15, so we got about 10 more minutes here. Do you have a funny story or a like a summit that almost killed you? I mean, one you got to watch. You got to watch. I forgot what summit it is. I'll have to put it in the description. The one that you rode the bike up to the summit and
Oh, that was hilarious. Yeah.
you ate the dirt at least 3 times, and the third
Well, it's three
time
times that I had the GoPro running. Yeah.
And it was, I could not stop laughing. Like, and as you're going down the third time, there was a bunch of profanities. It was just the tone in your voice. You had enough
Yeah.
of just eating dirt, and it was the funniest video. But
And
anyway,
I still laugh when I watch that.
oh,
I
it's so
laughed when
funny,
I was on the ground, but I was, maybe
so
not the
funny.
very beginning, but I started laughing because I just overhauled my mountain bike as an e-bike that I turned into a true mountain bike with better tires and shocks and stuff. But I had clips on there because I had put about 8,000 miles on this
Oh,
thing
that's right.
commuting to work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And well, clips are the exact wrong thing to have when you're mountain biking. And if you're on a road, a fire road and stuff, they're fine. But I was on a single track trail that took a lot more technical capability than I have. And I'd hit something, I'd start to go over and I couldn't pull my foot out
Pull your
fast
feet
enough.
out. Yeah.
So I'd go right into the bushes. I think the funniest one is I rolled so far over that you saw the
You
wheel
did. You
sticking
did.
up into the air. You could see the sky.
It was great. I mean, like the profanities, and then the camera, like whenever someone crashes, you're just like, I don't know what happened. You could totally follow the sight plan or the sight path of the camera, and then you saw that you were upside down. And there's the wheel, and it's still spinning.
Well, it was even funnier is I'm laying down there and I'm pinned to the ground, right? And I can't get my feet out because they're clipped into these doggone pedals. So I really felt, like a turtle upside down. You can't get out of your
Oh, it's
pedals.
so
So
funny.
that was
Oh,
pretty funny. We walked a bit of that. Even the guy that I was riding with, who's a much better technical rider than I am, he was walking as well because it was just really, really difficult single track. Especially, I mean, a newbie like me, forget about it. So
that was great. I remember where I was when I was watching that video. I have my tablet and I put it in front of me whenever I'm eating dinner. And I remember watching that video and, trying to eat, and I'm crying because I'm laughing so hard. And that was a video, yeah, that you definitely
yeah,
remember. So
there's nothing funnier than another man's misery, huh?
there is. I mean, the internet is filled with people falling down and hurting themselves. And I'll tell you right now, I get a lot of joy out of those videos.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just a human trait, I suppose.
Oh, it's funny. All right,
Done
Christian. Well,
some difficult ones. I mean, that one I did on Poser Mountain that was one of my first bushwhacks, and I've since done it again. It wasn't as difficult the second time because I'm in much better shape. Um, but the descent, I learned something really, really critical, which is never use a ravine to do SOTA, because ravines are where water goes, and where water goes, stuff grows, and it gets so incredibly thick. I was having to backtrack and climb up out of this ravine. It was ridiculous. I was literally crawling on my hands and knees under stuff. And I could see the car from where I was on the
but you
mountain.
just couldn't get to it.
I couldn't get to it. I was probably the most exhausted I've ever been. And it
Oh,
was
that's
on a
funny.
descent. It was ridiculous.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's even worse.
I think the other one is I've run out of water. That was total misery. Always bring more water than you think you drink.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you can last until the next day in case you get hurt.
Right. Right. Yeah. That is, I'm sure that you've probably, on your blog, you probably have some stories on things that you should have done, things that you did that were right. You know,
Wait for it. hamninja.com/safety.
I was
That
waiting
is
for
a
it.
list of kind of I did fall down on just one of this crazy, stumbled, I'm setting up my antenna and I stumbled backwards and sat down. Well, I sat down on a tree that had a branch sticking out like
Oh,
this
oh,
that was
oh.
broken off. It basically went right through my hams and like a bullet hole.
Oh,
And yeah, after I scrambled off that thing, then I basically got up to my pack, pulled stuff out, and repaired myself so I could get back down, and called my wife and said, "Hey, if you're going to go into town today, wait for me because I need a ride to the hospital. I think I need stitches," which I
yeah.
definitely did. But
Wow.
that story is on there, but it lists all the things that you ought to think about for doing hiking safely, hiking by yourself, hiking with, I hike by myself, but it's just, there's ways to mitigate the risk. It's
Yeah.
not a safe, nothing is safe.
Right.
But you can mitigate the risk by doing a whole bunch of things: carrying water, a first aid bag, or top two things. Tell people where you're going. Those would be my top three off the top of my head. But take a look at that article. Hopefully that'll help somebody out there that's thinking about doing this.
Is all the links that you, I mean, you got a ton of stuff, it sounds like, on your website, and I need to go check out your website again and go through all of that stuff. Is there like a table of contents where there's like, oh, safety and your pack out and all that other stuff?
There is. I have a on the homepage, there is a references link, but I'll tell you what, the stuff that we've mentioned that might be good for the people that watch your videos is I'll send you the ones that we've gone through, and you can stick them in the description.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Again, if you have not subscribed to Christian's YouTube channel or gone over to his website, go down to the description and click on his YouTube channel and subscribe. He has got, again, he is one of my favorite YouTubers. He, I never miss a video. We talked about stories. He sets the story up. He's very cinematic. It's, I love that, the way that he presents the videos. And whenever he got the drone, I about fell out of the chair. So I was just like, yes.
Cool. That's
so anyway, nice, thank you, Christian. I appreciate it. Hope we inspired some people to do some SOTA and maybe some portable operating. And yeah, any parting words that you have? Do you need some wine and a Zen moment to give people some parting words here?
Oh, yeah, I probably should have a glass of wine, but I still have some work to do. But I'll part with this. I hope to catch you on a Summit to Summit. Yeah.
I think, yeah, Summit to Summit is the I'm going to say it, a prized possession in the SOTA world, right?
Yeah, it is. I don't know, it's just fun. You know, the other guys up there suffering just like you. The really hard ones, I got a Summit to Summit with a guy in Japan. He was running an IC 705. They had just come out. They weren't even out in the US.
Oh, wow.
And he worked me with 5 watts. It's like, that was so cool. It was hard because I had a lot of RF around me, but we worked each other, and we both sent emails to each other at the same time. So that was really cool.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Very good. Thank you, Christian. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Kyle. And
I learned a ton.
Subscribers, if you like this this broadcast, hit the subscribe, man.
Hit the subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. It's
yeah.
We're trying to put out decent crap out there for ham radio and get some more people interested. And it's a no frills channel here. I'll tell you, we're running on duct tape and baling twine over here, but we're trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Christian. Appreciate it. And Christian's channel's down in the description. Go and like and subscribe, or subscribe to his channel. And we'll say 73s.
73 people.